Hey Internet, how's it going everyone? Steve here again with another Unity Asset Store review. Today we are going to be looking at the Cyberpunk Downtown Low Poly Pack by GYP Studios. GYP Studios. At the time of writing this pack retails for $89.99 USD, and I think that's worthwhile for the price. But let's go through the criteria. As a reminder, I do pass fail. Something, in my opinion, either is good enough or it is not. So with that in mind, quality is, so it's a low poly pack, right? But as far as low poly packs are concerned, like my sort of marker for exceptionalism when it comes to low poly assets is Synthese Studio assets, and this is right there with it. So I do think that for a low poly asset pack, this is a good quality, and it does pass that. Modularity and workability, it's hyper modular. They did a good job of that. It passes. Support and serviceability. I didn't have to reach out for anything. The thing just works. There is one thing you have to do when you first import the package after importing the package. But after you do that one thing, and I do show that in the video, after you do that, it just works. It works as intended. Nothing about it was broken. Nothing about it was bad. It just worked. So, yeah, and they do seem active whenever people have questions. They seem to respond. So I'm going to pass on support and serviceability, and then value. So look, $90 is a lot of money for some people. I think that if this is the type of game you're going to make and the sort of aesthetic that you're looking for, it is a no-brainer. Like, that $90 is well spent. You get a lot of stuff for the price of admission. So I do recommend it. Outside of that, again, it's a lot of money. So it's not one that you're probably going to just buy to have in your inventory. But if you want this sort of game, it is exceptional, and the value is there. The value is very good. So for like what you get. So yeah, I'm going to give it a pass on value as well. So yeah, I will see everybody over in the engine for the full breakdown, and see you guys there.
Testing. All right, and we are here in the demo scene. So I'm going to do a run through of this as much as possible. This is a huge demo scene, so I'm honestly probably not going to be able to get through the entire thing and not be boring. So I'm going to get through as much as I can while talking and trying to be not boring. But yeah, there's a lot to this demo scene. So there is not an asset manifest scene. So instead of doing the asset manifest scene like we typically do, we will be going through the prefabs one by one in the next segment of the video. The other thing about this demo scene and why I'm not going to go through all of it is because there's a lot of similarities. It's just configured differently. So you see how like this is a very similar part to that part we just ran through over there. I'll try to give like a high level view of some of this stuff to really showcase things, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to run through the entire thing in its entirety. I'll try to point out the stuff that is like more critical in my eyes, and then we will sort of go from there. You'll notice if you played Cyberpunk 2077 that there is a striking similarity to a lot of the art assets in here. Maybe we'll try to go down there actually in a little bit. But that is not an accident. that is very clearly on purpose. They did that on purpose. Even though it's a low poly art asset, the aesthetic of this is very clearly meant to be like Night City. So you'll see a lot of things that you're like, oh, that looks kind of like a low poly version of what I saw in Cyberpunk. Yeah, there's good reason for that. I'm trying to remember where do this. There we go. I'll just hop down here. Screw it. So yeah, I mean, vendors, clutter, lots of like low street level stuff, and then platform stuff like we just came from. There is a lot of clutter in this asset. A lot of good clutter. It's not just garbage, right? Which is, part of it. Yeah. Like, one of the problems that I see with a lot of assets is when they try to do clutter, they just don't do it well, or it isn't implemented well. And then there are assets that, like, when I've showcased a couple of them in the past, but like when they get it, right? And you can tell when like the clutter was thought about, and this one was definitely, at least in my opinion, considered, considered well. But yeah, this demo scene just goes on and on and on, and that's why I'm not gonna go through the whole thing. But like, it is a substantial demo scene. I mean, I do think that the asset is worth it, and if this is the sort of thing, the sort of game that you want to make, or the sort of aesthetic that you're going for, to me, it is a no-brainer. It is such a good asset for that. So if you like it, I would say pick it up and just stick around in the demo scene a little bit. There are two demo scenes. There's like a light one and a dark one. We are doing, I believe, the light one. Maybe we're doing the dark one. I don't know for sure. I don't remember off the top of my head which one I loaded up. But they are very, very similar. But you see how a lot of this is just repeating, but it feels fresh, Like the area kind of like begs to be explored. Like the demo scene begs to be explored, despite the fact that it's literally just an empty demo scene with no gameplay function beyond what the character controller that I plopped in provides. I forgot to mention this, but just like you should just expect it by now, I guess. But just like always, I just plopped my character controller down in the demo scene and push play. I didn't do anything special or unique there. I think maybe... Actually, I'll go up there and then I will call it... Excuse me. My God, I apologize. I've been gassy lately. I don't know why. Alright, so I think I'm going to call it here for the demo scene. You got all your vendor stuff, but we'll dive into the actual manifest, the actual prefabs folder in just a little bit. So I will see everybody over there in a minute. All right, we are back. So I did ultimately decide to do a quick, brief run through of the demo light scene, because I think there are a couple things in here that are worth pointing out, that are that weren't I couldn't really show in the other demo scene. So I'm just going to do a quick run through. This is going to be a very, very short one. But I'm going to do a quick run through of this so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, and then we will go from there. So, and then we'll go into the prefab scene. So we're gonna jaywalk here. Yeah, I know. We're gonna jaywalk here. Blah blah blah. Run indoors here. It's worth noting that this developer also created a dedicated interior module or asset for this asset pack. I do own it. I will be reviewing it at some point. I decided to do that one as a separate asset review, just because of the sheer volume of content that's in there. This one gives this room gives a little bit of a taste of the interior, but it's not going to be the full-blown interior that is their actual interior asset pack. Like I said, I will do a separate review on that particular one. So with that, we are going to switch over then now, actually, to the prefab section in a minute here. We will go through that then, and I will see everybody over there shortly. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to point out before we dive into the actual prefabs is when you first import the asset, you're going to get you're going to see these two things. You have to make sure that you double click and install, actually run whichever one of the rendering pipelines you're using in your project with these. So make sure that when you first load it up, if you buy this asset, that you open one of those two up, run that, and then you should be good to go. Otherwise, all the materials and stuff are not going to be there. All right, so with that said, let's go into the prefabs here. There's a lot to get through. So we'll go through the high-level stuff first here, and then we will go from there. So there are a few different bench options, stools for inside, just basic blocks that you can use. You start dealing with your exterior pillars and support structures here. Oops. You've got your actual entrances, your building entrances. You can see that they're single-sided or single-faced, which is good for an optimization standpoint. There are a number of different ones of these. What's this one? Oh, okay. So you have your, entrance scanners. You can see that sort of stuff. Metal detector sort of things in the real world. Generators, so more clutter stuff, accent pieces, and stuff like that. More accent pieces. There's going to be a lot of actual accent pieces. So, and then lighting and stuff like that. So lots of different clutter pieces, just in general. More lamps everywhere. Excuse me, my God. So you've got actual power lines and stuff like that, a few different options and lengths and whatnot, and like shapes. What's this one? So this is a lift, elevator. Why am I double clicking on that? That's stupid of me. So you can see that it is, actually enterable, stuff like that. So you've got your actual lift guardrails. just pop through this like this. Relatively plain piece. Is. So a lot of accent pieces, just in general. Um, so different floor and ceiling and wall pieces you have as well, stuff like that. Different platform pieces. So if you want to build like the upper sky areas, that's where you're going to get into this area. So more roof pieces and wall pieces. You have the stairwells. Lots of stairwell options, stuff like that. There's just a lot of options in general in this package. Like this is a very you get a lot for, some people may have sticker shock at first, if I'm being honest. Like it seems like it's an expensive pack, and to be fair, for some people that probably is especially students and stuff like that, that may be a decent amount of money for them to spend on an asset. But I think, in my opinion, the value that you get out of this package is exceptional. I probably should have pointed this out. So now we're going to start going into the actual folder. So you got more deco stuff here. So bunch of different deco options, stuff like that. But yeah, like I think for the amount of money that you spend on this, I think it is. I mean, honestly, it's like criminally underpriced. I do think that it is a really valuable asset for the amount of stuff you get and the amount of thought that was put into it. I think that it is an exceptionally good asset. I should point this out. So these pieces that I'm kind of like quickly skipping through are meant for exteriors of buildings. So I'm not like when I build a level, if it's like an outdoor level, I prefer buildings to be enterable. Anybody who's taken one of my design classes at the college can attest to the fact that I am one might say triggered by things like doors that you can't enter or areas that you can't go into. So when I build levels, I tend to build them with the attitude of the player is going to be able to go into whatever they see. But for stuff like this, let's see. So for stuff like this, you're going to be slapping it on the outside, and it's probably not going to be an area that the player is ever going to go into. Same thing for these things. Same thing for these. I don't think this is even... Oh, maybe this door is actually... is the door movable? Oh, I guess the door here is movable. Okay. Well, fool me once. No. But yeah, these are all going to be those sorts of like exterior accent pieces and stuff like that. Stuff that you're going to be using for, buildings, outside of buildings, for like, accents to make it feel more real. So you got some support stuff, more accent pieces, just fencing, stuff like that. Let's see here. So like building bases, stuff like that, like the actual, base of the building. These pipes are single-faced, so you're not going to be like having people crawl through these pipes or anything like that. Again, more exterior stuff. I think I'm just going to click through these quickly. Actually, I'll do this to make that bigger. right. And then you got your wire clusters and stuff like that. So let's go back out here. Let's go to the actual building modules. So a lot of these are going to be non-interior when you get to that part of it. Like down here, you'll see. We'll get to that in a little bit. But then there are some interior pieces with this as well. All of these doors should, if memory serves, all the doors are openable and slidable and stuff like that. So you do have the ability to make those into functional doors, which is good, because that would frustrate the living hell out of me if they weren't. So here's where you're starting to see some of the. These are meant to be just for buildings you don't enter, which, again, same thing. You got your wall and stuff like that. Although I guess, technically speaking, you could fill out the pieces above it with other pieces. So I guess technically you could use these for that. I skipped some, didn't I? There we go. So these are very plain pieces. There we go. Oh, we have some lit pieces for that. A handful of those triangle pieces. So these, if you wanted to, you could use with those aforementioned pieces. Just going to run through these real quick. So I think, shit. I don't know what I was seeing there. Okay. So still a lot of variety for like interior pieces, but this is a good example, right? Like this room is not something you're going to ever have the player enter. It's really just meant to like make it seem like there's, life when there isn't. And you have a few of those pieces, those types of pieces. This one, same thing. It's meant to really just be a set piece, not an explorable type of thing. Which again, I have my design opinions about that. But there are lots of wall options and stuff like that. I do appreciate that. You've got some larger pieces here. So again, these are really meant to be ones that the player's never going to enter. But they're there if you want them. So lots and lots and lots of options for this stuff, right? I mean, just the sheer volume of some of these things is astronomical. Go back to one of these. This one again, one you're probably never going to have the. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, you'd have to do a lot of modification for that. Okay, so we just did the presets, I think that was. No. Building presets are going to be the large buildings, so the towering ones, and this is a good example of what I was talking about, where you're never going to have the player enter these sorts of buildings. They're literally just there to be set pieces, which again, for me is like that bothers me. But plenty of games do that, so who am I to say? So this is where they're using all of those pieces I pointed out. Like honestly, some of these designs are cool, but there's again no interior, so it is what it is. I'm just gonna skip through. Oh, wait, this one might. Yeah, so this one is. It looks like. And if memory serves, I think this may be one. So in their interior pack, I think this may be one of the buildings that it fills out. Could be wrong about that, but we'll explore that in the next review of of their assets. These are all just shells. But again, some cool configurations, right? Like some cool stuff that they did with this. All right, so let's go into the interior stuff. We'll do this first, and then we'll go into the subfolders. So you've got a decent amount of floors. I do believe, yeah, they are single-faced. So, which is fine. Like technically speaking, that's the smart way to do it. So they do have. I pointed this out in one of the Synteeth Studio ones too, but they do have these broken up in a manner where you can expand them, which is nice. So the walls are these interior wall these walls for the interiors are all double faced, which is how that's supposed to be. So let's go into the furniture, I guess. So this is the interior furniture. So you got beds, a couple of bed options. Again, it reeks Night City, right? It's not. I'm not saying that as a negative. I mean, I like 2077 very much. I used to play a tabletop game, so I love the aesthetic that Mike Pondsmith, created. But it's very, very like this asset wears its inspiration on its shoulder very clearly. I'm trying to remember. I think, yeah, you can open these. Yeah, that's what I thought. If memory serves, I should have done this with the other ones, but I think some of those aren't openable. One of these I thought had a cabinet in it. Maybe I was wrong about that. I thought one of them had a drawer. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so the drawers are all independent. So they can all be yanked out and stuff and, dicked around with. So again, that attention to detail, like they I think did a really good job on that. Memory serves, microwave 2. Yep, door you can take off. So those are all workable. I think the toilet lid also. Yep, toilet lid is also. So yeah, definitely well thought out. So you got the props. Let's look at the props real quick. I'm all about my clutter. Everyone who's watched any video, or for that matter, taken one of my classes, knows that. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse on that one, but yeah, plenty of clutter for interior stuff. All right, let's go to the roads. Wait, did I skip one? No, roads. So this is for the street level stuff. You saw a lot of this in that first one, that first demo scene that I did. Here's a lot of those like vendor booths and stuff like that for the street level. Plenty of those options. You have your actual, signage, or not signage, road paint, grates and stuff like that. These are done in a really smart way. The actual road pieces are done in a smart way, in my opinion, similar to how Synteeth Studios does it, which I think Synteeth is kind of a master class at how to do that right. Just how to do a lot of modularization right. And this developer, from what I've seen from them, they don't have a lot of assets, but I believe I own all of their assets. And from what I've seen from them, they take that same design ethos of those what's it called, of Synteeth Studios' approach to modularization. This developer takes those very much to heart. It seems so. Yeah, props to them for that. I think they did an amazing job of that. If I'm being completely honest, those are all bigger presets. If you want to batch it out, it makes it easier. And then you've got your garbage, trash, or as the British would say, rubbish. So lots of options for that as well, which I like to see. So it makes the world feel lived in. All right, signs and graffiti. Plenty of this stuff too. These are all going to be single-sided. Yep. And you just slap those onto walls and stuff like that. So there are a lot of those for the signboards. There are animations to some of these things, so that's nice. I'm not going to spend like a lot of time on these, but you can slap the it's somewhere up here in one of these, I believe. You can slap let's see. Realistically, if memory serves, I think there's an easy way to. Yeah, so you can just plop a new material on there pretty straightforwardly. Yeah, I think that the signage and stuff was done very well too. You can build your own sort of, structures for signage, which is nice with the stuff that they give you. I forget, is it? Yeah. Oh, what did I do? I don't know what I did there. So these are just prefabs for those. I'm not going to dive into these too much. Actually, I should just show one of them off over here. I did that one. I'll just flip it around real quick. Oops. And then we'll do this one. So you got the big curved signs as well. So, on to the last one, the text and stuff. This is all pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm not gonna go ballistic into these, but you can build your own. Actually, I'll flip one of these so you can kind of see them. So obviously one is borderless, one is not. This one is like the old neon signs from the 80s. And this one is also like that, just without the back. You can mix and match those guys too to make some cool stuff. You do have some Japanese options. It's hard to kind of see without the back, so I'll go to the next one because I believe the other one has borders. Yeah, here we go. So these ones have borders. And then you got your numeros, and mostly the same. So that is all of the prefabs in the asset as it stands right now. They have updated this as well. I saw at least one update where they added stuff to it. From when I bought it when it was freshly released. So that is this one. If you have questions, let me know in the comments. And keep an eye out for the interior one. I will be doing that at some point. I don't exactly know when, but that will be in the near future here. And then I have a couple other ones I'm going to get through first. And then I will see everybody in the next one. Happy holidays, everyone.